Hello and welcome. Hello, everybody. Come on in, grab a seat, get your cup of tea, whatever you need. Hi, I am Bradye Robinson, and I will be spending the next couple of, about 35, 45 minutes with you guys. We are diving into the ugly truth with Coach Ricardo. But guess what we're talking about? Divorce. I mean, this is going to be epic. We're kicking off tonight, our first night for our week long series of the ugly truth about divorce. Tonight is going to be epic, guys. You have time to go ahead and share the video, invite some people to watch with us because you don't want to miss this. This is going to be good. We are getting ready to get all in Coach Ricardo's business, and has agreed to be transparent and open because we all know that's a part of the whole effective living community. That's what we do. But we are diving into the ugly truth about divorce, about marriage, no holds barred here. We are going and we have a series of questions. Tonight is our first night, and we're gonna kick it off. Just if you can see the quote on the screen, one of the worst things you can do after a divorce is to self-destruct. And that was out by the infamous coach Ricardo. Hey guys, it's every night. It's 7:30. Okay, 7:30. Don't miss it. Tag somebody. You definitely want to catch this. Tonight we are talking about heading towards divorce. Okay, but hey, before we do that, just a little, we're gonna go ahead and let him have a moment. Coach Ricardo, do you want to give a few remarks before we dive into this ugly truth about divorce?
Well, thank you, Bradye, for hosting this series of talks with me over the next few days. I'm looking forward to this interview. This has been something I've been praying about for a long time, and I thought, you know what? One day I will allow myself to answer the questions given to me by a few people and have it documented and express what I felt as though I experienced through going through divorce. And so this is my story. This is my experience. I'm going to share as much as I feel as though brings about a level of connection in the understanding of what I went through. And so pray for me and continue to pray for my platform, my family, and even my ex, who is my son's mother and is an amazing woman in her own right. And so once again, this is my experience. And so over the next 4 nights, in addition to the night, 5 nights, we're going to be very open, very transparent, and very real as to what I experienced. And we're going to let it be what it is. And so, Bradye, thank you for giving 5 nights of your night to go in with this conversation about divorce and really being the host of these talks. So thank you again, Bradye.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when I was looking over just the information and thinking about all of this, what came to my mind was transparency and clarification. So, Trent, and I love that this is your story. So, guys, this is really going to be good. Go ahead and you have time. Invite someone to watch, to join in. We are going to dig deep. We are allowing him to answer some questions and to just like be completely transparent and honest. Guys, you are in for a treat. You are going to be really, really just excited. You're going to get so much from this. But the 2 words that I came up with was transparency and clarification. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, tonight is the first night, guys. The first night. We're doing this every night for all 5 nights, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Because as you know, it's not an easy or quick topic. So we're going to break this thing down bit by bit, piece by piece. It has been strategically developed so that we can cover all bases, clear a lot of confusion, and just clear the air and give some truth and some light to what someone else may be feeling. Now, before I let him go on, I love that you're giving your story. You're telling your part because a lot of times I know we try not to say anything about it or we'll just let it go as it may. But it's important for your voice to be heard as well. So I think that's very important. And we want to respect each party in this and give, you an opportunity to go ahead and just be transparent, help someone I see that you've done the coaching and the healing that. So let's get started. So first thing I want to ask you, Coach Ricardo, let me ask you this. We're talking about the ugly truth about divorce. Okay, we're talking about that. But before we go into too deep, before they tell me about how long were you married?
Okay. Bradye, I got married in 2000. I got
2000.
I got married November 18th, 2000, and I would say officially I was married for 18 years before filing for a divorce. And boy, that was 2018. I filed for divorce in 2018, and that's when it really came to a close. 18 years.
Okay, and the 18 years, that's a long time. That's a long time. And I'm sure you've heard of, like, is salvageable things of that nature. But tell me about those 18 years, because I know it wasn't just hard the whole 18 years. Talk to me about that 18 years, because that's a nice sum of time.
I think for the most part, I tell people I did not have a bad marriage.
Right.
I
Okay.
personally, I did not have a bad marriage. I didn't thought I had a bad marriage. Uh, I was married for 18 years. The first 10 years was what I believe to be a very progressive time for both of us. We experienced some tremendous success in the first 10 years. And in the last 8 years, I mean, those success even quadrupled in size, but it was more troublesome and more challenging after 10 years. But initially, I thought I had a great marriage. I thought I had a great thing going for a while. And so, yeah, I was married for 18 years. Never thought I would get divorced. Did not imagine the idea of divorce. I came from a Pentecostal church. Bishop Dean Wells, Senior, taught us on the importance of the covenant and how important it is for us to think about the words that we're declaring when it comes to getting married. When I stood up at the altar, my pastor, my spiritual father, Apostle Raymond Wells said, "Listen, it ain't too late. You could change your mind at the altar. Don't let nobody pressure you into marriage." So I took my time to get married. I did not rush. I did not rush the process. A lot of my friends around me had gotten married, but I decided that I was going to take my time. And then when I got married, I was going to be in it for the long haul, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, till death do us part. I am in it to win it. And
So much divorce wasn't an option. That was never
divorce
an option.
wasn't an option.
Because I know,
Divorce was not.
you hear it, that's always an out, but that wasn't an option for you. That wasn't even in your mind.
No, it wasn't in my mind, not at all. I didn't entertain the idea that divorce was going to be an option. I can work through pretty much anything. We will work through anything. We're going to be okay. All marriages have some bumps in the road. All marriages require some compromise. I am prepared to do that. I'm in it for the long haul.
Okay, so we see 18 years, and you didn't say it was a bad marriage, because we're unpacking this thing tonight. Because starting out 18 years, but it wasn't a bad marriage, yet we have divorce big in the title. So let's move on. Now, that 18 years, that's almost 2 decades, right? And you've been a prominent children's ministry pastor for working in children's ministry for over 2 decades. So the correlation there is about the same time frame. Okay, so you got 18 years here, about 20 years there. Did you ever think you would actually go through with the divorce? But we know you said you hadn't thought about that coming into the 18 years, because at what point do you say, okay, might as well stay? We over 10 years, do we stay? How did you get to that point? Because at 18 years in marriage, then we're gonna talk about the 20 years in children's ministry and how it kind of, if it played a part in the decision.
Bradye, it was actually 20 plus years in ministry, but
Okay.
I more than 2 decades in children's ministry. I remember when I got married, we had those bumps in the road, and we would sit down with counselors, advisors, and we would hear things like, if you could just make it past the first 3 years,
Yeah.
then it was the first 5 years. Then
See, I heard it was 8, so I guess everybody
see,
had the number. Everybody
then
had.
I was told 7, and then 10, and I said, "Oh, 10 is it. 10
Yeah.
is 10 is it." And 10 wasn't good. 10 wasn't good. 10 was rough. And I said, I'm in it to win it. I believe that we can make it through this. I'm gonna fight for my marriage. We're going to make it. And so no, I'm not going to accept the idea that I'm going to get a divorce. No, that's not gonna work. We're gonna work through this. And so 11 years came in, 12 years came, 13 years, 15 years in. And when we hit the 15, I thought it was a new day. I thought that, oh my goodness, oh, we made 15, hallelujah. I'm a visionary. I love seeing in front of me in relations to where I'm trying to go. And so I had already declared at my 20th year, which was 2020, I was going to the Bahamas, and I was going to renew my vows, because initially I got married in Texas. I got married in East Texas. And so I never got a chance to do the Bahamian traditional wedding. And I thought, at 20 years, I'm going to do the traditional Bahamian wedding in the Bahamas. Now, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 was rough.
Okay.
But we made it to 15.
But you made it to 15.
We made it to 15. We did a cruise together.
Okay.
It was a delightful cruise. Once again, I thought
wait, hold on. Excuse me. Hold on. So at 15 years, you did a cruise.
We did a cruise, an anniversary cruise that was awesome. That I
so problems weren't arising where you're kind of leaning towards, I don't know about this, because 15 years is not that far from 18.
No, listen, man, 15. I thought we was in it to win it. I think I was a little naive. I think I was a little slow. Okay, but over all in all, I personally felt as though at 15 everything looked great. Okay, we went on a cruise. We got married initially 15 years earlier, and on our honeymoon we went on a cruise.
Okay.
So now 15 years later, this is our first cruise since we had been married. And so 15 years in, man, listen, we did some of the things we did when we were on our honeymoon. I mean, some of the ports that we went and visit and so forth. So I'm feeling 15 years in, 5 more years, Lord. If I can make 5 years, we'll renew our vows. And I believe that, 25 was my declaration. Listen, 25, I got married at 25.
Okay.
So I'm seeing 25 years married. I'll be 50. This is going to be good. I'm excited about the future. We made 15 years, but 15 years after the cruise was not so good after year 15.
Okay, so cruise was great. Everything was fine. When you get back from the cruise, okay, all the la and the great feeling is over, and we're back to reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not really necessarily back to reality to the point where the cruise was a facade. It wasn't. The cruise was great. Weeks was great. It's just that months after, we still had some great moments. It was like moving into 17, where it just started to find itself being very, very problematic.
Okay, so that moves into my next question. So what is your view on the early stages of evolving problems or revealing themselves in the marriage?
I think a lot of times, all depending on where two people are, one person could be seeing problems emerging, and another person could be totally blind to them. I first functioned tunnel vision. I was locked in. I thought, for the most part, I'm taking care of my marriage. I'm taking care of my family. I'm career developing. I'm taking care of my health. And so, when it comes to the problems that would often find itself in a marriage, I don't know. I personally believe that they were there. They were showing themselves as major signs. I thought that we were getting help along the way to talk to our counselors and advisors in our life at the time.
Okay, but right there, So because I want to get in there. I want to get in there. So you thought we were getting help. So you were talking about some issues that had started to arise and they were a little worse than normal issues. Because of course everybody have their issues on a daily basis in a marriage. But you said that you guys were getting some help. So some issues or problems started to creep in and we're going to counseling. Were you growing and getting better in your counseling? Was she growing and getting better in her counseling? And were you guys growing and getting better in your counseling together?
I think there was some denial, and probably some hidden truths that
Okay.
were not as expressed because we weren't getting assistance, but unfortunately, I didn't thought it was a problem at the level that it was a problem.
You didn't think it was bad as it was.
No, I didn't thought it was as bad as it was.
Yeah, you thought it was a
We were
problem to
getting
work through.
we were working through them. As a matter of fact, it was okay. We have these issues. We're going to work through these issues. Here's what our counselor is saying. Here's what our advisors are saying. I'm like, okay, give me a list of things that I need to do, because I'm going to work through this. And that's what I've been. I've been the kind of guy. Tell me what I need to do. I try to make the adjustment. Okay. I've never believed that I've had it all together. I've never thought that, you know what, I'm God's gift to humanity, per se. And so I knew that I had areas to work on. And so I would ask, okay, what do I need to do to make this thing work? And so we tried. I think I tried. And so over the years, I found myself continuing to try,
Okay.
and going out. The challenge was I'm continuing to try, but at the same time, I'm progressing professionally. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
progressing professionally, but what I'm doing from trying to help my marriage is not working.
Okay.
It's
So you're
clearly,
growing in one area.
yeah,
And
I'm
it
growing
it can be
professionally.
like that. You're growing, your career is booming, your business is growing, your
Uh,
platform is growing,
yeah,
and your home life is because it's always where you're trying to keep that balance.
yeah.
So
Well, I thought the home life was on point. Okay, I thought the home life was on point to the point. This is prior to 10. This is right up before 10
okay.
when my bubble got burst. Okay, because
Mhm.
I didn't realize there was the problem that's at the magnitude of what the problem was. And so I remember I was traveling. I had visited the Bahamas and I met a friend of mine who is a pastor. He's a great guy,
Mhm.
a distinguished gentleman, and a phenomenal leader. And I asked him, "How are you doing?" And he says he's doing great. And I asked him, "How's his wife doing?" And he says she's doing wonderful. She's married to me. And I adopted that, Bradye. I adopted that
Yeah.
because I swear I put money down on it. I thought my wife was okay on every level. So I found myself starting to walk with that kind of swagger. Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing great. How's your wife doing? Man, she's doing phenomenal. She's married to me. And so I found myself saying that. I found myself saying, man, she's doing great. She's married to me. When in truth, she weren't doing that good because we weren't doing that great. But I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And so it was hard to come to this reality where professionally I'm progressing on all of the dynamics on what I believe was what I was trying to put to work in relations to
Mhm.
my 5 different factors: faith, family, finance, fitness. I mean, enjoying life. All of it was coming together for me, but it wasn't the same thing when you asked her at the time. And so she was having a different experience than I was having, because she was going through a different season. But for me, the challenge was, well, God, you got to help a brother out because the thing that I dream of having is starting to happen in relations to my vision, my
Yeah.
life's vision. But my family is now being challenged with the fact that my marriage appears to look like it's falling apart. You got to be kidding me. My marriage is about to fall apart. And so there were times that we would have counseling on the phone or having to sit with our advisors. and then I'm having to go out and help people. And then there were people calling me. I was helping them while I was going through worse situations at the time, because I was thinking, this is so unfair. I should not be going through this like this. And so there were times I wanted to quit. There was times I wanted to throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'm not going to do the ministry no more. I'm going to pull back. And I can remember calling my spiritual father, and I said, I'm going to sit out for a while. I'm going to sit out. I'm not going to do ministry anymore. So a lot of people, I want to talk more about that tomorrow, but a lot of people think my hustle was my life, but I really enjoyed ministry. I enjoyed operating in my purpose, but I enjoyed my family. I loved my family. And now my family is being threatened. And I came from a culture, I came from a ministerial background where you don't want to reach the world and lose your home. Oh my goodness.
So right there, okay, so you were willing to lay your passion, your vision down, save your family.
Yeah.
As it should be, and that's I'm glad to hear that. But you were with, because you just right before that you said your vision was coming into fruition, your business was blossoming, your ministry was growing, but yet my family is kind of stuck stagnant. It's right here, and you were willing
my
to
marriage
down your marriage was right there, and you were willing to. I'm just gonna pause on this ministry that's blowing up to save my marriage. With saying that, I wanted to ask you what year was that? When did it start to go downhill to where you were really having to decide, do I put my career and my ministry to the side to salvage or catch the ball and keep my marriage from hitting the floor and falling apart? When was that?
It was around 12.
About 12.
See, I'm a strategist, okay? So I was thinking, okay, I got married at 25, bought my home around 29. Okay. I said, we'll stay in this starter home, initial home, until I'm 40. Okay. And so around the 12th mark, I found that everything was coming together for me to have my dream home at 40, to be able to launch my ministry nationally in the Bahamas at another level at 40. 40 looked great. 40 looked like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be all that I desired or hoped or pray to be at 40. But oh my goodness, by 37 was rough. 37 was bad. And it was then that I realized, do I keep going after the dream, or do I make the U-turn to go and get your family? Don't lose your family. Don't lose your marriage. You know what I'm saying? You've got to fight for your marriage. And so I made a decision at about 12, right in about the 12 and a half window, to make the turn to say, listen, put the progressive platform on the back burner
for a minute, okay,
and make the turn towards my marriage. And so that's where we ended up looking like it was going to be great by 15. Okay. Because in the 12 and a half window, I had made the turn to give everything that I could.
You sacrificed.
I don't even know if I was calling it sacrifice. All I knew was, hey, if there was something I could do to save this, to turn this around, I'm going to put that effort towards this, because pretty much
it was your focus, it was your priority.
It was my focus and priority. I wasn't getting divorced. Divorce wasn't an option. Okay. And so my platform, it will be there, or whatever that it was. But I stopped going in my office at home. I started making adjustments on the extended date nights and family nights and game nights, and just making all of the necessary adjustments to ensure that, listen, this thing is going to work. And we got into 15, and right by 12 and a half, it looked like it was going for the ultimate dive. By 15, it looked like it was coming back. And I had a few colleagues who were advising us, ministerial colleagues, who called me and said, boy, you're looking good. Thank you. I'm glad that you look like it's going to work out, because they knew I had shared with them. I had some covenant brothers I had shared with that I was going through a hard time. And I shared with them what we were experiencing. And they were praying with me. And by 15, everybody was thumbs up. It's looking good. Man, we've been praying.
Okay. Now, other than your covenant brothers or your close circle of friends, were you aware that it was publicly noticeable that you guys were maybe a little shaky, something was going on? I know we got through the cruise. I'm talking about we're back from the cruise, eyes are open. What's going on? We had a wonderful cruise, and now it's kind of shaking up. But were you aware that it was publicly noticed?
No, I didn't think it was being publicly noticed. I think for a long time we was able to not it didn't go public. It didn't go public. We dealt with our issues for the most part in dealing with us. It was about us, and so we were addressing it from about us standpoint. It wasn't something that was spilling over in the streets or having to be an issue that was being expressed in any negative, angry, disgusting way. It was just something between my ex and I where we were having a hard time. And this is where the challenge grew, because the marriage was being challenged, but the perception of how we looked still looked okay.
Yes, that's
And
what I'm going to get into in a minute. I'm going to get into that because that the perception, you said it, that word perception and how I look, that adds pressure as well.
it had pressure, and I was afraid, man. Oh my goodness. I think I cried
Afraid of
for
what? Failure of what? Afraid of
I
failure, a divorce, embarrassment.
I think I'm gonna go into the embarrassment and failure, but I was afraid that my marriage would not work. Will not work. I'm a children's pastor. I'm a family ministry guy. This cannot not work, and so oh, this is going to work,
Right.
and so I'm going to try to hold this up as long as I can, because this is not going to fall. This is not going to not work. Okay, I mean it was so bad that I mean I had I showed up a lot of times, having to keep my shoulder broad and my face straight, and just sometimes I wouldn't even say kept a smile on my face. There were very few people. There are more people, Bradye, who who based on my salt and pepper right now think I'm stressed because of the salt and pepper, and their discernment is totally off because
Right.
I'm at total peace. But
Yeah.
there were people when I really wasn't doing well, they did not discern that I wasn't doing well, because it really wasn't showing like that. And some people
That's
could.
interesting. That's interesting. Keeping the public out of your business. That's very important. You guys were going through your issue, so it wasn't a public thing. But was that hard for you? Was that pressure? You smile for the public. You smile, hey, how you doing? We walk in together and we get in the car. Whatever, what the public
It wasn't
response.
one of those kind of deals, though.
Okay,
It wasn't. We didn't have one of those in the car kind of griping, pulling up
okay,
at church kind of griping, and napping at each other. It was really interesting. There were decisions being made that was not mutual or respectable, and were indifferent, and that made for a level of frustration.
yes,
But we did not have. That's one of the reasons why I could say that we did not have a terrible marriage, because a few decisions that was being made were the decisions that destroyed our marriage.
okay,
Ultimately, the basic foundation of our marriage, like we did not believe in ranting in the public and trying to
right,
make each other look stupid, and just me going at her and she's going at me and all that stuff. And I don't think there was one time I can recall RJ sitting down and watching us, I mean, talking about having a fit at each other. I mean, I think he was in a totally sheltered from a lot of our moments when things weren't going well with us. And so I don't think it was, to me, it wasn't trying to put up a facade. It was, the fact is, I'm here to perform a responsibility. I'm going to perform that responsibility here. Now, when I'm with you, if I have to have a conversation with you, I can have a conversation with you, and I can get back on task and go back to my responsibility again. Some people don't know how to do that. They whatever they're going through, it
it shows
bleeds
up.
in every environment.
It shows up.
On the elevator, you feel
Yeah.
the tension. On the stage, you feel the tension. In the car, you feel the tension. I I didn't feel that. I don't think we operated like that for the most part. And that's what probably made it so
Shock.
difficult or shocking
Yes.
for a lot of people to expect or to accept when it really came out to be a divorce. It wasn't that this was not known to a number of people. It just was not publicly known to the vast number of people we knew. We did not act in a way to bring about our business to everybody and anybody. It wasn't that kind of way for her or for me. It was very late in the game. I'll talk about that later, where one time she went and posted something on social media that was after our divorce. And once again, a lot of people did not see that, but the reality of it really wasn't about the other people. I'm not even here to talk about what other people's position was. I'm here tonight really with the understanding that to live for a long time, knowing something is going on wrong in your life, and not knowing how to respond to that, and for me, it was sort of like what I call now living a lie, or failing to express the truth because you didn't know how to express the truth. It was a difficult moment, but we had people we could have expressed the truth to, and we did. But at the end of the day, the problems weren't going away. I prayed and I fasted. I don't know what she would say she did, but at the end of the day, I thought that we were fighting through to make this thing work. It ultimately ended in divorce.
Right. That goes into my next question, because I know that you guys look like the perfect couple. Okay. You look like the perfect couple. We kind of talked about this, and I want to say, was that ever real? Which I know it was. So I'm going to ask you this. At what point was it not real? Was it not built on what you thought it was built on from the very beginning? You know, you in the public eye.
It was not
Your business
real. It was not real going into 16.
into 6.
16, it was sort of not real. And it was to the point when I started saying, and I called my mother and called a couple of I'm not gonna do the extra room thing. I'm not, you sleep in one room, I'm gonna sleep in one room. I'm that ain't me. I'm not from that's not me. I'm not gonna do you on one side of the house, I'm in one side of the house. We're gonna work on this.
Right.
And no. So I would say after 16, we were together, but we weren't together. We were having more problems after 15, after 16, especially, 16 and 17 was brutal. 16 and 17 was brutal. 18 was where I felt as though I couldn't do this anymore.
The straw broke the camel's back. Pretty much. It was too heavy.
It was. And so I think it looked okay, but at the end of the day, what I found out, and I feel as though we experienced, was we were being eaten from the inside out because we weren't addressing in that last 5-6 years the critical need to work on whatever those were that could help the foundation of our marriage to sustain what we were going through. There was a lot going on the inside that did not know how to be addressed, or we did not know anything. At the end of the day, a lot was going on the inside, and I was still holding my professional platform position. She was still holding her position, and we were still going on with life, which everybody is supposed to.
That's what I was going to ask you. It's kind of like you were still going through the motion of the daily routine, because that was the question. To the outside, it looked like the perfect happy couple. So you still operating business as usual because things had to get done. You had a child to take care of. You had bills to pay, house, all of that.
Not only that, we built a platform together.
That's true, a whole business.
We built a platform together.
So you had to work together. You had to do that.
We had to work together.
But it's like you're in the same house, but you're separate.
We weren't ever fully, I wouldn't say, because that's when it started to get to the point where I knew that wasn't going to work for me no more. When it was the potential for us to be in the house and not be separate.
And operating separate lives, right.
That wasn't going to work for me. No. When that started to come to that point where it appears to be that, we could almost be two people in the same home, but not together,
right.
that was
A roommate situation almost, pretty much.
that wasn't gonna work for me. So we never really had that. I think when that started to reveal itself that it was going in that direction, that's when all, for lack of a better term, all hell started to break loose, because I was not going to do the you and I don't even talk together. You and I don't sleep together, and so
Walk
forth.
in the room and y'all don't speak to each other.
And yet we're gonna still keep the public thing going. No, that's not gonna work. And so we were cordial in a lot of sense. It really was an interesting scenario, because it was not an ugly situation for the most part. Once again, it was a few decisions that were made that was just decisions that destroyed.
You can't come back from. Some things you can't come back from.
We couldn't come back from. And
I understand that.
But at the end of the day, I thought we probably could.
Right.
We were trying to work through them, and that's what kept it, because there was enough roots there to say maybe we could still make, because there wasn't a lot of bad situation. I loved my ex-wife. I'm telling you, I'm married for the long haul. I'm not the guy who complained the entire 18 years that, oh my goodness, this was the worst thing that ever happened to me. No, I will never, ever say that. But once again, a decision can cost you your life. Several consistent decisions that is just not right can cost you, once again, your marriage. And that's what exactly it is. It doesn't mean the person is bad. It means that a number of the decisions that they made was not the one fitting for keeping a marriage.
Right. And that goes into, now we want to talk about when you're having to face this issue with your child, with your coworkers, with your peers, with your pastor. What was this like, trying to keep it all together, kind of hiding the truth? But you're a father now. You're a father, you're a pastor, you're a children's ministry pastor, your platform is with it. When you had to start having these conversations, because now we're moving past the 15, 16, 17, it's kind of getting into the ugly truth of it, where it's kind of unbearable. What were you still hopeful that this is salvageable? Or had you checked out?
It took me for more than 5, almost close to 7 years, I still did not know how to walk away. I still believe that my marriage could work. I still believe that we could come back from this. Having to have conversations with my pastors was one of the most hardest moments in my life. I'm a minister. I'm a family minister. When I sat down with my pastors, I was broken as a man. I'm talking about my marriage is falling apart. Man, listen, I pray, man. I travel around the world. I believe in my family. I respect my wife. I have honored my home. I take care of my son. I mean, listen, what in the world is going on? I'm needing to have this conversation. And the ones who counsel us at the time, they had already been counseling us for a number of times. So I got to the point where I asked the people in my life to tell me what to do.
Right.
I didn't know what to do.
Seek wise counsel, and you did that.
But the crazy thing about it was, I leaned on counsel all my life, to where the vast majority of the significant decisions that were made in my life was made because a wise person or an advisor instructed me to. Whereas I just followed instruction. I followed instructions really well. I have had some really good mentors and advisors in my life, and I was given instruction.
Okay, but was it instruction for you or for y'all? Because it's a difference. Because you're very disciplined. You follow instruction, but that's wonderful. But if you have two and only one is following instruction, was it instruction following for you or for y'all? Or was it at this point, I'm working on myself to be better for this marriage?
Well, I only can tell you how I functioned, because this is where I found myself as, where I needed to know what to do. I didn't know what to do. My marriage is falling apart, and I didn't know what to do. I called a number of advisors, counselors, pastors who were in my life, and I wanted them to tell me what to do. I was at this point where I didn't know what to do. I didn't feel as though I was even hearing God. I mean, I don't know what to do. It was just the hardest moment in my life. And so I remember asking my spiritual dad, tell me what to do. Whatever you tell me to do, that's what I'm going to do. And I can remember being told to pray. I can remember told and trust God. I can remember this is going to turn. Yes. This is going fast. I mean, here's the practical things you need to do to be the guy to, to make sure you don't lose your marriage. And then it came so bad to where this is what I'm dealing with. And I'm at a place where they didn't know what to say and they didn't know what to tell me to do.
Okay. So now you're like, I'm coming to you for help and y'all don't even know how to help me.
No, it wasn't that they don't know how to tell.
They didn't know what to say, rather. They didn't know what to say to help make this situation better because you're following the instruction and you're doing everything, but the tide is still not turning.
The tide wasn't turning, but I was like, should I leave my wife? Could I get a divorce? And everybody said to me, and I respect each and every one of them for this, none of us can make that decision for you.
Honestly, were you hoping that someone would tell you yes or no?
To this day, I still had hope through somebody, one of them,
somebody tell me no or tell me yes.
No. It wasn't really about no anymore because it was that bad. And that's the reason why it wasn't no, because they wouldn't tell you tolerate what I was experiencing.
That's true.
But they didn't know how to tell me to walk away.
They didn't know how to, and they didn't want to be a part of that.
They didn't know how to be a part of telling me to walk away, but didn't know how to tell me to stay in experiencing what they would not probably have stayed with. And so I'm locked between a rock and a hard place because none of them would say stay because it's unfair to stay, but none of them would say leave because and none of them believe in divorce. So they're like, hey, this is on you. This is on you. And I'm like, oh, Jesus.
So is that when did you felt like you were out there by yourself? How was that for you? And what kind of effect did that have on you coming in the household? You walking in, your wife is there, your child is there, but you have this heavy rock on your shoulder and you know you got to do something with it.
When I went and got professional help with a therapist, a Christian therapist, I went and sat down in the chair of a Christian therapist, and she said initially her job is to help the marriage, save the marriage, and she doesn't believe in divorce as well, and it was at that point I realized, okay, we can work this thing through. And when she was having a session with both of us, when I heard all parts with my part, my ex part, and hearing the professional, the therapist, I realized we got a problem. Because I started to see clearer now.
Love this.
I started to see clearer now, and I have a decision I have to make. And so after that, I had an individual session with the therapist, and I said to the therapist, I don't want to live like this no more.
Okay, and that's so good. That's so good because sometimes you have to sit down with somebody else. And you said something good there. You said that Trinity, that number 3 is big. You sat down, you heard your part, you heard her part, and you heard the therapist part. And when you hear it out loud and you try to make sense of it, you said that's when you know this not going to work.
Right. I said, this is not going to work. But I told the therapist, she says, you're a family minister. You have a child. I don't think divorce is an option. Okay. And I said, I think under the condition to which I'm living, divorce is the only option because I don't think my son should have his father be less than a man in any moment, because the truth is I prefer to walk away and be an example of honor rather than stay in an environment of dishonor and have him to see me not have backbone enough to stand up and be a man and make a tough, painful decision that he and many others may not understand now. But I said it wasn't right. It can't be right. I ought not tolerate this. No man ought to. and no man is telling me to do this, I finally felt the peace that I cannot live like this. I refuse to live below the honorable state that I'm supposed to be as a man. It's not right for me or any man. No man was going to tell me leave my wife. I needed to assess the situation for myself. And I said to the therapist, I'm going to need your help because I love this woman, but I'm going to have to leave her. I'm going to have to file for divorce. And she said, because of my makeup, I'm a loyalist. I'm an extremely committed type of individual. So she said, you would never leave your wife under normal circumstances. I said, so what I need you to do is show me why I'm still struggling with walking away from something that I should be comfortable walking away from when it's wrong. And that's when the therapist went to work and addressing some of the hidden truths of me not being willing. And that's when, Bradye, for me, I found myself feeling, and no disrespect to females, but it was in that moment I started to see how abusive situations occur and the abusers don't leave because they don't know how to leave. And others are saying, why are they staying? Because I had friends who said, bro, you better than me.
Because it's all different types of abuse. Mental abuse, that's even worse than physical at times. Verbal abuse, mental abuse, the agony, the living unhappy. But it sounds like you have reached out and you got help, you spoke with everybody. But once you really dug in and allowed the therapist to dig in, you talked to your son about it. Now the actual word divorce was able to come off your lips.
At the time, I didn't talk to my son about it. At the
Okay.
time, I was talking to myself about accepting the
Okay,
decision.
that was when you were talking to yourself
Yeah.
about having it. So within it, how long was that process where the therapist was, breaking you down, kind of getting in your head, doing the work? How
Yeah.
long was that process?
Uh, about a year. The
Mhm,
first tier of it was a year
mhm.
where I was doing these monthly sessions, and they were breathtaking because I was starting to discover stuff about me that I had no clue about.
I mean, so
And
you did extensive therapy with different, with professionals and
oh yeah,
you,
you had to pay for
yeah,
this woman. She
right.
had 35 plus years experience
Yes.
in being a professional Christian therapist. This was a center. I went to a therapist center,
Okay.
and I had to learn to get past my feelings about what the perception was that you were going
To
to a
go to
therapist.
see a therapist.
I
Right.
wanted to make sure my mind was right. I wanted to make
Right.
sure my heart, the Bible talks about guarding your heart with all
Yes.
diligence. I wanted to make sure that I was in a healthy state, and I wanted to help. I wanted to get the help from someone who could help me do that. And I felt as though, okay, this is what you do professionally. I need you to go to work with me. I need you to help me to be as healthy and as whole and as secure in the decision that I was making, so that when I start coming to you, it would be a salute from you to me to say, I feel as though you're going to do all right. And that's exactly what occurred.
Okay. Okay. That is good stuff. It goes into my last question. And this is where you have, thank you so much for being transparent and sharing your personal truth and your personal story. I know this was big for you, but you have walked through these years. It's like peeling back layers of an onion. So we're saying that now we have, okay, we're going to fast forward a little bit. We have effective living. You're an effective living life management coach. How important is for any person to be honest and transparent? Because tonight, I've never heard any of this. I'm so grateful that you're sharing your story openly and honestly. I hope that our audience, someone that is struggling with walking in their truth, because you truly are walking in your truth. But I know it was a process. It just don't jump up and then I'm accepted. It was a process. You went through a process. But how important is it for any person to be honest and transparent and not hide from their truth?
I think it's extremely important. I think for a long time I thought I was honest. For a long time I thought I was being transparent, but you know there's a Christian facade that is
Mhm.
often portrayed. There is this we put up this look to come off like we're okay.
Yeah.
And I think I did that for a long time. I don't think I was sort of hiding anything. I just thought I was addressing something that may not need to be addressed
Public.
publicly.
Right.
And so, but I believe that there were a lot of principles that I learned one of the things that I learned, Bradye, just a couple of things that I really captured that I wish I knew. That just like a therapist, I wish that I knew the importance of having a therapist, a good professional therapist, because the therapist that I got helped me to be who I am in a more stable way today than I was prior to getting married. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is I really did not understand the importance of getting annual checkups on your marriage like you do with your health prior to having problems, because I didn't know that there were foundational issues that would come to produce negative results, negative ramifications in my life later on when it came to the foundation of my marriage. And so I believe had I knew and had I been committed to having annual marriage assistance in the form of the in-depth professional retreat, we could have probably early identified things that could have probably become future problems, which eventually we found that something became a future problem, which eventually cost us our marriages. So just getting the help necessary to thrive in whatever it is that you're wanting to thrive in. Over the years, I've done that in ministry. Unfortunately, I don't think I got the early help as fast as I needed to.
Okay.
And it is almost like when you take too long to get a diagnosis, only to find out that you're in a
worse shape. You're in
a bad state now.
Got you.
And I think that's almost was our case. So when I say 1 year 1 to 10 was amazing, and I thought it was good.
Right.
Well, yeah, but had we done the behind the scene work to address anything that we both did not have the skill to know, what could have happened was it could have assisted us to prevent anything that was starting to show itself to be damaging, to ensure that we could have gotten another 10.
Absolutely. So like like you said, that's very important. And I don't want them to miss that, because I believe you can set someone free or save someone's household with saying that the annual marriage checkup, that's good, because that's a way for you to get on in front of the snowball instead of behind.
Most certainly.
Yeah, so that right there is really big, because like you said, if you could do it over again, or what you've learned, we're not going to say what we could do over again, but what you learned is if you would have known. And that's big to me, because a lot of times we are doing these major life decisions, such as marriage, things like that, blindly. We don't know. There's no rule book, there's no instruction, nothing. And before we close out, that is so big. The annual, what you called it, an annual check-in for your marriage. When you said that, I'm thinking, well, that's what the anniversary is for. But it's so much deeper than that. A deep sit-down check-in. How we doing? What's going on?
Yeah, I don't think people use the anniversary for that. I think
that's the thought that came to my mind. That's why I want you to talk about that, because when you said a yearly check-in, a lot of people think, oh, it's our anniversary. We've been fighting for a few months. Go on anniversary, have a good time, and we're back. It's so much deeper than that. Talk about that deep check-in.
The deep check-in is important because, let me answer this question. Somebody asked a question. How many years did it take for you to be over or heal from your divorce? And how long again before you get married? The July coming will make me 2 years having been divorced. 3 years separated, 2 years divorced. So I'm going on my 3rd year not being with my wife. All right. And so this year would have been 21 years married. Okay. I personally believe I've guarded my heart, I've protected my spirit, and I continue to position myself to be in the most healthiest state, to position myself to move forward with any decisions I need to make in relations to a future partner. That's in my future, but right now I'm still continuing to work on me. Bradye, your question about the annual checkup.
I like that.
it was during our anniversary. It was during a special trip that we were on, and it was a marriage retreat. It was a marriage event that I thought, this is when our marriage really fell apart, because we were about to hit 10. And at the 10, we were like, okay, we can afford to do a trip.
Yeah.
And we could afford to do a trip. And we're going to do a marriage retreat. We're going to do a marriage retreat, people. And we were doing it was the splendid, nice hotel room. Blah, blah. Now, here's the deal. This was 10 years in, but we were having a horrible time. And I was advised to come to this retreat. You all need to sit down. And we were having a bumpy time, but we're trying. And I thought,
at this point, you both were willing to, okay, let's go to this retreat. Let's try to see we can get some help.
I'm only talking for me.
Okay.
When I got on that flight and I flew into the Bahamas, it was actually a retreat to the Bahamas. When I flew into the Bahamas, I'm like, man, this is going to work. I'm sitting down with the best of marriage assistants.
Okay.
This is gonna be good, man. This is gonna be good. We got a chance to do the beach thing, and we got a chance to do the restaurants. And man, we're in the Bahamas. It's wonderful. We're in the sessions, the marriage sessions, and man, and then we had the one-on-one. Not the one-on-one. We had the couple session.
Okay.
And my pastor, my spiritual father, he's a prophet, and he started asking us some questions, and I thought, man, we're doing great. I know she's having a little attitude occasionally, but I guess it's a woman thing. I don't know. I was probably a little insensitive. I don't know. I thought I was still believing, hey, she's married to me, okay? We're doing great. And they're talking at the table, and his wife is there, and we're all talking, and I'm got up to get something to drink. And he asked the question, how are you doing in the marriage? And she was like, oh, and he started to probe, and then he said something that only a prophet, a man of God, could reveal, and I could have spit everything out of my mouth when he did that. We're going to talk about that another night, because I was like, what in the world?
And we're going to leave it right there. It's more to come.
Worst flight ever coming
uncomfortable.
back to the United States.
It was that silence you could slice with a knife. Hey guys, y'all sit tight. It's getting real. It's getting good. Those of you that have joined us, thank you so much. Hey guys, it's getting deeper. Every night we're going in. We're going deeper. I held back some of my questions because tomorrow you want to sit tight because we are coming in every night. We're peeling back another layer of this onion. Guys, he is talking about divorce, the ugly truth. This is the Ricardo Miller story. This is his story. This is his version of it. Everybody have a right to give their part of it, and he's giving his. Tomorrow we are going. You got to come in for this, guys. He dropped a few hints when he was saying, "Here's the hint," and we're gonna leave it right there. Of course, our marriage is great. She's married to me. Tomorrow we're talking about pride, shame, and embarrassment, and you do not want to miss that. I know Coach Ricardo got some nuggets on that with some real life examples and transparency that is really setting people free. Before we close out, sir, did you have anything that you want to leave us with about tomorrow?
Thank you again for being the host for this series of talk. Bradye, my prayer is that there will be principles given somewhere along the way in each night session that will help some people, like what I've shared tonight. Address the root cause of whatever could start to reveal itself to become a problem. Initially, I made it up to 10 years and thinking 10 years was great. Wanted to do 20, wanted to do a lifetime. But when the problems started to reveal themselves, I'll tell you this, we should have gotten professional help at the very core. And I still think it would have still been a major problem because the type of problems that started to reveal itself was bigger than I know I could have handled.
Yeah, we discovered that it was not salvageable or not coming back. I believe what I'm believing for this series is that someone is going to receive something they need to make a very important decision. Somebody's going to get help, because usually as a culture, we don't want to get help or we feel embarrassed. I love how you expounded on that because you're letting other brothers, other men know that it's okay to get help. A lot of times our pride keeps us from getting help. And you can get help. You can do that. At least give it a shot and try. Guys, tomorrow, 7:30. 7:30. Go in, we look at the video again, like, share, subscribe, tell somebody. You have to tell somebody because we're digging in tomorrow. Y'all heard it here first. You have heard him go public, talk about his part of divorce and the ugly truth. Guys, it takes a lot to do that. You don't want to miss every day this week. I'm excited. I don't want to tell you guys what all the topics are about, but you have to sit tight. Hey, I'm going to go and read some of these comments. Thank you guys for sitting with us. Thank you for coming out tonight, giving up an hour of your time to hear this. But I pray that you guys receive something from this and learn from it. Don't miss this session tomorrow, 7:30. You can close us. We're out. We're done. You guys have a good night. Coach, you want to finish out anything?
Thank you. That's it, Bradye.
You guys have a wonderful night. Tomorrow, 7:30.